Så mine damer og herrer, ta han vel imot. En kjempeapplaus. Kom igjen, her er han, Edwin Gutierrez.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Edwin, and for the next 20 minutes, I will take you through my story, which takes me through from the streets of La Paz, Bolivia, to five-star hotels in London. That's La Paz, the highest capital city in the world with the highest number of homeless children. Those are my siblings, and the little chubby one in the right is me. I remember to have a very happy family when I was a child, but my father started getting drunk and beating up my mother, and in one of those incidents, he killed my mother when I was 10 years old. And my family, as I knew, completely collapsed. And very soon, I needed to escape home. I was 10 years old when I decided to run away from home because my father was trying to kill me. So I went to the streets, and I remember that was the first night I slept in the street, meeting other children in the street. And life in the streets was very, very difficult. For sleeping on the trees, in the market benches underneath, and obviously the nights were very, very cold. And we met a girl who had a dream to open a house for those children. And then we finally opened the house. We call it Alalai. In my native language, it means I am cold. That house is called Alalai, still open today. Life in Alalai was very, very difficult because we were problematic children for society, playing cat and mouse with the police because the police was chasing us, and we don't want to get caught by the police when you're sleeping in the street. You will regret it dearly. And life in Alalai was very, very difficult. We couldn't go to school, and it was disorganized. We didn't have food sometimes. We come back to the streets sometimes in Alalai. And then we met the Strom Foundation called the Strom. They help us to reorganize the house. They help us economically. We finally could go to school. I finished my education studying in the night and working during the day. Thanks to them, we decided to create this motivational for children, so then they could invest in us to go to school. I want to be a psychologist when I was a boy, but I decided to be a chef because I was cooking in Alalai and I had experience cooking. So then I decided to study. And life started getting a bit better for us because of the help of Strom. And then all the children were going to school. We were educating ourselves. And there is Claudia in the middle who opened the house. And I decided to be a chef. I was in one of the most respected schools of gastronomy in the whole Bolivia. I did my degree in gastronomy in there. I was working at home in Alalai, studying at night, and doing my duty in the house. Why I become a chef? I became a chef because when I was a homeless child, it used to be a road full of rotisseries, small rotisseries selling roasting chickens. And for a homeless boy who sometimes didn't eat anything a day or two, life is really ironic. Going through to those streets and seeing so much food, but having nothing at all sometimes. So then I promised myself. I said one day in my first work, I will spend my money. I will cook for my friends, for my family. And so then I did. That's the picture when I was in Alalai still. I decided to cook chicken. I said I will roast it. And then I realized the children were fighting at the table, being children. The boys were fighting, crying, and I would start thinking, is this really what did I deserve what all the effort I'm trying to put to cook for them? And then finally the chicken was ready, and then I served the chicken, and I felt the silence, the enjoyment of the food. So make me feel, you know what? That's what I want to do. I want to cook for people. I want to give them food, and it's the reason I become a chef. I got a lesson for hospitality because I was working in hotels and restaurants in La Paz for many years, and I worked in this restaurant mostly for tourists. And it was late. We all had a very long day. We were tired, and then we were closing the restaurant. And then the lady who owns the restaurant entered the room and said, "Table for two, please." And then I remember my senior chef saying, "No, we're not going to serve. It's late. We're tired. We're going home." I remember she lowering the voice and entered the kitchen and said, "Can you imagine if you're in a foreign country, you're hungry, you're tired, and everything else is closed. And then you imagine that the last place you go, it says, 'Welcome, sit down, please,' and gives you the menu." And she left the room. And then I remember my friends and I was, you know what, let's do it. So we opened the fridge, start cooking for them, and cooking without cutting any corners. And I remember those words very, very well. I think really she inspired us to be hoteliers, to be for me that is hospitality. Working in Bolivia for so many years, I knew I wanted more. I knew that I wanted to reach more. I knew I was capable to learn more. So then I moved to Brazil. Brazil São Paulo has 40 million people. It's completely different country, different language, different food, different culture. And it was very, very difficult for me to get the first job. I struggled for almost a year to get the first job. I needed an opportunity. Finally, that opportunity arrived. I started working in a small restaurant, and then 2-star hotels, 3-star hotels, 4-star hotels. I work in the Gran Meliá World Trade Center, São Paulo, one of the best hotels in South America, in the whole South America. There was the 5 consecutive winner of the best hotel. And the Gran Meliá was big. Had three restaurants, 1 Japanese, 1 Brazilian called Goya, inspired by the Goya painter. And it was, we had a ballroom for 2,000 people. And in time to time, quite often, I will be having 150 extra chefs just for the day. So it was full of challenges for me, but I knew I was ready. I remember being cooking for my bosses, for my chefs, and then knowing my food is going to go to a magazine, to a newspaper, and but without my name. My boss is gonna get all the credit. But that didn't make me unhappy. Make me wanted more. I knew I was almost the same as him, isn't it? I was capable to do. But then it was this association called ABAGA. It's a Brazilian association of high cuisine in Brazil. I wanted to be part of it. I want to be a member of it. But unfortunately, it was only for French chefs and Italians, owners of restaurants and hotels and so on. It was very complicated to be there. And then in 2003, I met this fantastic young talent, Charles Tessum, isn't it? So I met him. We decided to make a book to help homeless children. So all with help of Strom as well. I never met somebody so happy, so motivated than him. And I consider him one of my heroes, my Norwegian heroes. And I know in Norway is big gastronomy. And at that time in South America as well, it was very big. So when they knew I was making that book with the champion of the Bocuse d'Or, my life completely changed. I was invited by the University of Gastronomy in São Paulo to lecture, to create new type of teaching. So, and I was approached by ABAGA. I was invited not just to be a member, but just to be one of the 8 directors of ABAGA. So then I was in charge to train the next Brazilian champion to be representing Brazil in the Bocuse d'Or. So suddenly everything changed to better. Working in Brazil, absolutely incredible people, I will say. The Brazilians, the Brazilians adopt me like another Brazilian. There never was the difference, like as a foreigner or anything like that. It was incredible. Even I had my adoptive mom in Brazil. I did a lot in Brazil. I own a lot in Brazil, opening the doors. But I knew I wanted more. I needed to talk to people in the world, and I want to be a judge of gastronomy, train people internationally. So then I decided to move to the UK. When I arrived in the UK, again, the language, different place. London is fast and furious. In London, you have to be very changeable, but very quickly. You need to be adaptable. And all the qualities I had, in the streets, you have to be adaptable. Sometimes you eat, sometimes you don't, sometimes you have, sometimes you don't. So that is the rhythm I knew very well. And with all the experience I had at gathering in Bolivia and Brazil, opening hotels and restaurants, it was 20,000 candidates to get the job in the Savoy. And I decided to apply. And I never had so long interviews, and I had almost 10 interviews to get the job, and I finally had it. I finally get the job, and believe me, it was very complicated to get a job in the Savoy, but it was twice as complicated to get the picture in the first row. And there I am. There was a lot of elbowing in there, but anyway. But I managed to get there, and 5-star service. Obviously, 5-star service is completely different than in South America. It's more personalized. Now hotels are investing in technology to get to know their clients. The Savoy, for instance, we didn't have a reception because we thought, why are we going to put a reception? These people are paying £25,000 per night. So people are traveling for 5 hours sometimes in the plane, and then they need to get a taxi to get the hotel, and then they need to queue in the reception to give their details. So then we changed that to make it easy. So when they arrive, a butler collect them, take them to the room, and they will help them to undo their luggages. So I truly understand what it means to serve in the highest quality. I remember one day a family arrived in the hotel, and then a little boy is crying because he lost his teddy bear. But the butler saw that and immediately decided himself to get a new teddy bear for him, and knocking the door of the family and saying, I know this is not the same, but I hope it makes a difference. So when the family left, she wrote the incredible letter saying, how fantastic was this, going beyond expectations. I remember beyond expectation 5 years ago, it was just, remember the family name of the guest, Mr. Jones, welcome back to the hotel. But nowadays, no, we want to know what type of flowers he likes. He likes a cappuccino. He likes it, or if he has any condition, medical condition. We wanted to know more and more and more. That is a service. I got 25 years in hospitality, experience in hospitality. And I remember one day, I needed to cook for a Chihuahua. He wanted to eat organic chicken, no skin. The room, they were paying £30,000 per night, working in the Corinthia Hotel. So for me, that is the meaning to be a chef. Sometimes having a special request, cooking for a baby. For me, a normal day is boring. I wanted interesting days when people request things different, and I think that is service. What I understand. London, I love London. I love Britain. I know it sounds cheesy, but I love the Queen. And you're not going to find another Bolivian more British than me. And I never had a house and I managed to buy a house. Just happens to be next to the Royal Palace in Eltham. So I always show off my home because I never had one. So all my friends said, oh, Edwin is showing his picture again of his house. So yeah, I got as a next project. When I was in Norway, a couple of years ago, I was invited to lecture in the university in Stavanger. And I never see young talent, young students so motivated. So then they asked me if I could do something interesting for them. So then I decided to create a competition. So I made a competition. I got experience in competition. So then I created a competition with the black boxes, ingredients, and with timing and all the real rules. I want to put them in a real competition mood, and it was incredible. It was fascinating how motivated they were, and that inspired me. It is possible to inspire young people. I got a project now to help young adults who are about to leave, like I was one day. Normally in South America, when they are 18 years old, they have to leave the institution. So when they leave, some of them, they're not well prepared. They have no background, so they have to leave, but they will start the cycle. These young adults will have children, and the children will still live in the street. And I believe it's a possibility to train them and reintroduce them in society, and for them to get jobs and to be self-sufficient. And I believe that is possible, and that is going to be my next project. This is my last slide, and I hope you enjoy the story. And thank you very much for listening today.